Hi, everyone. This is Allison Castle. I'm a coach, facilitator, and the founder of the Inherent Worth Connection. And I'm excited to welcome you to my first, which I think is official episode of Unveiling Value, Exploring Inherent Worth Within Systems, Structures, and Society. And my first guest is a dear friend of mine, Alissa Tillman. And she and I actually met through the Health Coach Institute. I was her coach during her program time, and we just felt this connection, and we've continued our work together and our relationship together since we ended kind of that relationship. I mean, it's been a good year and a half, 2 years ago almost at this point.
Yes.
So that has been amazing. And Alissa is the founder and the creator of Hug Yourself and Love Yourself. And she empowers young women to really lean into self-love and let go of that self-doubt. And her goal is to really create a worldwide movement. And really the goal is to shape future leaders and to having more compassion for themselves and others. And it's just beautiful what you're doing, Alissa, and I'm so glad to have you here.
Oh, thank you so much, Allison. Yeah, I am so excited to be here. And it's so crazy too to even just see how fast timing goes because yeah, just a year and a half, I was so new to the coaching world and you were really there to support me and guide me and get me into a position to feel confident to put myself out there as a coach. So I'm just excited to see how time brought us back to now be in this space and share our wisdom. So yeah, I'm really excited to get into this conversation today.
Oh, thank you so much, Alissa. Again, it's a pleasure to have you here, and it was my honor to get to coach you during that time.
Mm.
So let's dive into the discussion on inherent worth. So I first love to know, Alissa, what you feel, kind of your take on what worth even means. Like, how would you define the word worth?
I would define the word worth as value, something like a measurement of a value to something. Initially, my mind instantly goes to like money, of like, oh, a price, maybe a number. But on a
Mhm.
larger scale, worth to me ultimately means the value of something.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think that's, and I think that is kind of the textbook definition. And I love how you even took that a step further. And it's like in your mind, money kind of pops up as one of the first things. And it's very true. When we're thinking about worth and value, it's what is that measurement? Like how do we scale that?
Mm.
How do we decide what the
Yes,
value is? Yeah, exactly.
absolutely.
Yeah. So what I think is so interesting is, there are those kind of external ways that we measure value, money being one of them. Um, but it's to me also super interesting how we internalize, how we measure worth and value. And from my work, and I know you are open to discussing this, which I appreciate so much, is when we're measuring our own value or our own worth, we tend to bump up against times where we doubt our
Yes.
worthiness or value. And I'd be curious if you'd be willing to share maybe a memory of a time that you doubted your worth and maybe the impact it had on you.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, I have a list of moments where I have doubted myself. But I think it started around the time when I was around 6, 7 years old. I I had high energy. And at school, it was very hard for me to kind of sit still and just kind of focus. So I'd kind of be all over the place. And one day, my teacher recommended to my mom that I go see a therapist and possibly see if there's some help that I can get to help me focus. I ended up getting diagnosed with ADHD and was taking medicine. And that phase really made me question myself and feel like I was bad and I wasn't worthy and something was wrong with me. And the medicine also had an effect where I was the complete opposite. So instead of having high energy, I was very like, Like if you knew me on a regular day, it would kind of seem like, huh, why is she so mopey today? But it was like that every day. My appetite was gone, so I wasn't really eating. And then, depending on the timing I would take the medicine, it would kind of like keep me up. So when it's time to go to sleep, it's like I'm like wide awake. So my sleep was imbalanced. And during that phase, I just felt like this really bad girl. And why couldn't I be quiet? And did I talk too much? And that just created this ripple effect of me feeling like I did need to do more. I needed to show more or prove to people that I was worthy, even if I talked too much, even if I had energy. And sometimes I would even try to dim my light. So I think the effect lasted for a while. I would say around 2019 is when light bulbs started to click off for me, where then I started to learn self-love and self-care. I didn't know the terms at the time, but I started to learn that. So, I mean, when we think of 6 all the way to 19 years old, I struggled and it had that ripple effect for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. So it sounds like you felt like you were bad or there was something wrong with you.
Yes,
And that did have an impact for a long time.
absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So when you think about that experience for you, um, I like to dig into, of course, I'm like a root cause person, like at that
Oh, I
that's
love
like
it.
my one of my favorite things. It's like getting to the root of it. But I'd be
Yes.
curious, and obviously that's part of the title of this series as well, but you know, was there a particular like system or structure or some part of society that you felt kind of maybe played a role in that experience for you, or that you would like to touch on that you felt like was important in that experience?
Yes. There was different systems, I believe, that played a role in this.
Mhm.
However, the main one I think was that home structure, the idea of family. And because I grew up in a single parent household, just my mom, me, and my brother, I think there was pressure on my mom to be a good mom. We're mixed. So the idea of, okay, and she has mixed kids and all these societal pressures, I think got put on my mom. So her pressure, I think, was felt on or kind of trickled down to me a little bit of like, look, I'm
Mm,
not that she said this, but I'm sure this is what's kind of going on in her head is like, I'm under a lot of pressure to make sure that I'm this good mom. I'm already a single mom. I have 2 mixed kids. It's like, I need you to sit still and be quiet so that maybe there is an embarrassment or it doesn't look like she can't handle her kids. So within that dynamic of the family feeling the societal pressure on what a stable home looks like, what it should look like, I think that then created this story in my mind on who I needed to be. So
mm,
it's so interesting because and that's why I love this series that you're starting, because the unveiling of these systems, these structures, sometimes we do put it all outside of ourselves because it's so true. It has an impact on us. I mean, my story in itself shows the outside impact and now what's happening inner. But as we grow and as I grew, the system that I believe was really corrupting the idea that I am not worthy and I'm not enough was the mindset, was the system and the story that was replaying in my mind due to what I've absorbed outside. So I think it was kind of a domino effect. The society had this standard, these pressures. My mom, being the adult at the time, was trying to live within these pressures and these standards. She has this kid who's like, Mom, I know nothing about this. So I'm just doing me.
mhm.
That's now causing her to, okay, let me use the society's recommendations to help you kind of get into place and stay in this box. And then now I am coming up with now my own system mentally at that time, because that's all I could control was what's going on right here. And now that system has or corrupted me into believing you're not enough, Alissa. You're bad. You do talk too much. You do have too much energy. So I believe it was multiple things that played in to the root of ultimately that mind got affected.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? Because I feel like there's a little piece of, again, like the pressure that your mom must have experienced.
Mm.
And well, for one thing, being the single mom, like you said, having mixed kids, she felt like there was a certain way. It sounds like she felt like there was a certain way she needed to present herself to society to feel like she was doing a good job, like she was successful as a single mom.
Mm.
And
Yes.
I think that does happen a lot, that we carry on kind of a generational story, if you will, of how we should behave. You know, there's like written and unwritten rules, spoken or unspoken rules, and how that trickled down to you and created kind of the narrative that you gave yourself too, and led you to question, do I have too much energy? Do I talk too much? And you spoke about like it kind of dimmed your light for a while.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I love that part of that, how you said there's these generational stories and standards that some are spoken about, some aren't. Because it's so funny, growing up, it was always yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, because that's how my mom grew up. So if my mom was like, "Hey, do you guys want some pizza?" We couldn't be like, "Yeah." She'd be like, "What?" It'd be like, "Yes, ma'am." So, and it was just normal. So, over time, obviously, we knew if we were to say, yeah, we knew it was us kind of trying to be little attitude or whatever. But there were those things that were just kind of unsaid after you were taught it, where you just kind of flow with it. But sometimes if we're so on that loop and that story, sometimes we don't know that we can break away from it and create something new. So
Yeah.
sometimes we'll be trapped and we don't even know that we're trapped and we're not feeling good within these standards, because it's all that we know, or it's all that we're used to or see. So yes,
Mhm.
the dimming your light, it it's not fun at all. And if I didn't learn the things I learned, I believe I probably would still be trapped under the impression that I'm not good enough and that I need to conform.
Yes. Yes. Isn't that interesting? So you, when you feel like you're not good enough, like thinking about your experience and feeling like you needed to conform, again, needed to dim your light, needed to fit into that box of, okay, Alissa, you need to hold still and be quiet.
Mm.
So I'm just gonna do a little coachy thing here, and you know this, but it's like, what was the positive intention of that? You know, what
Yes.
was the purpose of that for you? And if you think about like as your story progressed, it's like we experience things and there's a reason that we experience them the way that we do, right?
Absolutely. Yes. I believe for me, my positive intention was to be seen and accepted. I wanted the attention, but I wanted the positive attention. I didn't want people to just look at me as she's just rambunctious, she talks too much, and she's a bad girl. I wanted people, I wanted the approval and the validation. And I mean, I love that I'm saying it out loud, because that validation from others and that approval, if you want to talk about a root, girl, that was like the root still to this day of the self-sabotage that I face in moments of the doubt and the self-worth. It comes down to the approval of someone outside of me must know something I don't about me or about what's correct. So I'll conform, I'll be quiet, I'll be good, I'll take the medicine because I want to be accepted. Yeah, I want my family to love me. But if I am being truthful, even within that positive intention, there has always been a little rebel inside of me that really tried to fight against it. Which is so funny. Like, look, because I'm having these little moments now where I'm going down memory lane and excuse me, I'm seeing moments where I was trying my hardest to conform because I ultimately wanted the validation. But I also remember times where my little rebel was like, you know what? Whatever. I don't care. I'll just be the bad girl. I'll just be this villain who everybody thinks is so bad. But even that can corrupt, the mind. So I did have struggles with that as well. But yes, that validation and that approval and acceptance from others.
Yeah. That's important. I mean, to all of us, I think we all struggle with wanting that that belonging. You want to be in like kind with others, and I do think there's like a safety piece to that. It's like our survival almost depends on finding a group of people that we have commonality with. It's almost, a requirement to get through life, it feels like.
So true. So true. I mean, because if you think of human nature, we're supposed to be close with each other and like kin. And we're not supposed to be just alone and an outcast. And we obviously have our moments where, yes, be alone, but it's just not in our nature to all isolate. Or some people have groups and then some are like, oh, those are just the loner. I mean, that's not healthy for anyone.
Right. We really, in my opinion, to live to our highest capabilities, we need each other.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, I agree. I agree so much. And I just want to briefly say, so if there is anybody listening who's like, oh my gosh, am I doing something wrong? Because I am totally in the house. I barely have friends. Like, you're so not alone, because just last year is when a light bulb finally went off for me on how important community actually is. Because for me, I just assumed, and I think it was going back to that little rebel. I think sometimes that little rebel decided we're okay to be alone. It's okay. It's okay if they don't like us. It's okay if we have to be alone. But through over time, I've kind of sheltered myself and self-sabotage moments to have community and to have people embrace me, probably due to fear and the lack of worth in self, thinking that. And it's so funny now. I feel like I'm unraveling now, right now. I'm unveiling, like, oh my gosh, I can see it now. But just last year, I finally woke up to, oh my gosh, yes, community is so important and you need it. Also, I mean, not just to benefit the fact that, okay, I'm not alone, but that accountability piece too. On like moments where you're starting to like think, I don't need anybody, I'll figure it out alone, but you're really like self-sabotaging and not really showing up for yourself. Community's there to remind you and lift you up in a way that's healthy and doesn't make you codepend on them to be the ones to assure you. It's just a reminder of like, hey, you're not alone in this. Like, come over in this community, look at all these like-minded people that are just like you, and like embrace this love.
I love that. Yeah, and that's such a nuanced thing between I just read a book fairly recently, but there's a thing, a kind of a differential between like loneliness. I'm trying to remember the terms actually. I think it's loneliness and solitude. It's like one of them is more has the negative effect of being alone, like really being in that loneliness, where and again, I'm not sure if I have my words correct, but like solitude is more of a choice. It's like when you have to have those ebbs of
Mhm.
and flows of maybe kind of fermenting away for a little bit to whether it's integrate or recharge your batteries or something. So then you can be back out among people who support you and challenge you, I think, at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I
So
love
it's
that.
really nuanced. Yeah, I think it's really nuanced and it can be different for different people, just like you said. It's like
Mm,
you don't beat yourself up if you're not like this social butterfly that needs to be at every single social event. That's
right.
to me not the meaning of belonging. Belonging is finding those people who support you and challenge you. And
Mm.
that can be a challenge in itself to
Yeah.
find
Oh,
those people, right?
yes. Yes. Because there's an exploration that comes with it. Because as
Mhm.
you're going out into the world with the intention to attract and meet and mingle, you also are tested with who do you believe you are? Do
Yeah.
you believe that you're worthy enough to attract these people? Do you believe and trust in your intuition? If the people that do come, are those the right people? Are you confident enough to know, oh, they're not the right people. And if I say no and I redirect, there still will be other people. It's not like I got to latch onto the first thing that comes because I don't know if there will be another person or another group. And even if I halfway kind of like them, but I really don't, and I'm just going to hold on for dear life. So there is so many challenges and so many discoveries within meeting new people, but I think that's the beauty of it is you
Yeah,
get to find
absolutely.
more of yourself, ultimately leading you to find those people that are your people and align with your beliefs and what you stand on.
Yeah, exactly. I think it is kind of a beautiful experiment. And
Yeah.
it is one of those opportunities when it's really hard to sometimes put yourself out there and really try to unveil your most authentic self. And
Yes.
and I think that's always like a work in progress.
Yes.
Yeah.
So true. So true. I am currently experiencing that. I just recently joined a girls running club. I just joined Pilates. So I've just been meeting new girls every day. And it's so funny because that little voice creeps up of like, oh, I don't want to talk too much or I don't want to like show high energy. But I'm learning how to embrace it because it's just me. Like, I don't have to know you, but I was like, hey, girl, like, but that's my energy. It may seem a lot to some, but at the end of the day, I cannot lower it and be like, hi, to make others feel comfortable when that's just not who I am. And it is a work in progress. It really is. And the more I tap in with myself to learn about who I naturally am and authentically am, I start to like those moments where I catch myself trying to dim my light, where it's like, oh, let me just give you a little encouragement, Alyssa. Like, please don't do that. Where before, oh my gosh, I would like beat myself up and be so mean to myself of like, oh, you sounded so dumb. Why did you? And now it's more of like, girl, don't be shy. Like, don't act like that, Alyssa. Like, I know you, and the ones that are for you will receive it. And if they don't, that's totally okay. Like, no harm, no foul.
Wow. Like that's just such growth to me. It's
Yes.
just noticing, and I do think it's one of the first steps we take when we're doing kind of personal growth and really tapping into our inherent worth and our kind of innate value is we notice when those little voices creep up that, it's usually, again, that voice of like our inner 6, 7 year old, or maybe it's the voice of a parent or a grandparent or, whoever we got that message from. But when we can notice that little whisper of a voice that's trying to hold us back or say, okay, don't be too much,
Mm.
when we can recognize it and we can respond to the voice and say, I hear you, but that's not who I really am. I'm going to be who I really
Mm.
am today.
Oh my gosh, yes. And I really want to highlight what you just said, because before I thought that I had to ignore it. I thought I had to pretend like, oh, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. But now I know the acknowledgement is what quiets it, because it's no
Mhm.
longer hiding in the dark, screaming at you, yelling at you, like, see me? Do you see me? Do you see? I'm going to keep telling you loud in your ear, you're not enough, because obviously you're not paying attention to me. But as soon as you say, oh, I hear you, there's almost this sensation for me, there's almost this sensation of validation, of like, oh, so you do hear me. So you do see
Mhm.
me? Huh. And then it kind of, and I mean, I'm creating a visual on what's happening
Yes,
inside my
yes,
world, but
yes.
it's almost like, huh, well, about this for a minute. So since you do hear me and you said it's okay, and you said I don't need to worry and be fearful, now I need to question, are you sure? Well, show
Mhm.
me. Like, show me that I don't need to be fearful. Are you really sure? Are you sure I can trust you? Because remember that one time, and then it might bring up an old memory, and then instead of like, oh my god, no, don't bring that up, that hurts me, it's like, oh well, yeah, let's take a look at that memory. What was
Mhm.
that memory about? The time that your mom said, okay, you're going to have medicine, was she really being mean to you? Did she really not love you? Were you really worthless?
Mhm.
Or was she in her early 20s, having two kids, raising them by herself? You're getting in
Right.
trouble every day. She's getting calls from the office every week. She's having to leave work to come pick you up. Your brother's still an infant at daycare. I mean,
Mhm.
she's working almost three jobs. Was she just at her wit's end of like, I don't know what to do? This is what the school says at this point. Let's just try it. I don't know what's going on with Alyssa. Like, is it possible that she just tried her best and she didn't know what to do? And because you were the
Mhm.
person experiencing it, you know how it affected you. You know how it made you feel. But at that time, you didn't even have the words to articulate that or communicate that. And that's okay too, because now you
Mhm.
do know. So, and then, obviously the story can continue and the conversation can continue. But that for me is what happens when I acknowledge, like, oh, okay, I hear you. Let's talk about it, versus ignoring it, because it just gets louder, it gets ruder, it gets nastier, and it just gets more
Yes.
hurtful.
Yes. That's so empowering. That the I love the way you described, I mean, kind of that inner dialogue, that inner interaction that you have. But what an empowering place to come from where you can recognize that version of you that is scared, that does have doubts, and let that part of you have a voice, that then you can have this curious conversation where, yeah, maybe that part of you then is a little more open to, okay, let's try something new. I'm not as
Mhm.
scared anymore. Like, yeah, I'm okay to let's try something different. Maybe the thing I thought was true isn't.
Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. And that curiosity grows and grows and grows. And then those parts of ourselves that are scared, have doubt, sad, hurt, because all of those things live inside, they get to grow with the version of us. Okay, I see the potential, I see the growth, I'm going after my dreams, I'm trying these. They also get to grow with us. But imagine
Mhm.
right now, I'm like, okay, Alissa, we're pushing Hug Yourself and Love Yourself, we're empowering these girls. But as soon as doubt comes up, as soon as fear comes up, as soon as insecurity comes up, I run. I'm like, no, I'm not listening. Oh my gosh, I'm plugging my ears. This is scary. I can only reach a certain max of potential within myself, meaning I can only teach the girls so much. So not only do I put a cap on myself of, hey, I'm going to go far with this, but I'm only going to go this far. Like, don't bring up the fear or the doubt or the insecurity, because like, I'm not dealing with that. I'm only going to go this far. And then now, as much as the intention is there to empower these girls and inspire these girls, I'm also limiting them now, because I'm saying, hey, we can talk about your confidence. We can talk about positive self-talk, but we cannot talk about doubt. We're not talking about fear. We're not talking about insecurity. We can't do that, because that's just too scary. It's too hurtful. There's too much tears that come with it. It's too much drama. It's like a cap now is being put on the growth, on the possibilities. So I think that's why it's so important to have those conversations that might be a little challenging, because then you allow those parts to also grow up. So now this little 5-year-old, even though she was just 5 and she didn't have all these words and this way of communicating, now that I'm working with her, I'm training her, and I say her as if she's outside of me, but that part of myself that was 5, because I'm working with her, I'm acknowledging her, I'm talking to her, I'm teaching her and training her. Now, when I go to talk to her, maybe next week, when she has a moment, she's able to tell me, I feel scared. I'm scared because I don't believe in myself and I might mess up. That's a whole different conversation than, no, I don't want to. I'm bad. No, I'm bad. I talk too much. She's grown. She's able to articulate herself, because the version that I am now is allowing her space to tell me what she does know, and then teach her words and teach her affirmations and teach her a new way of looking at things and experiencing. So it's really a co-creation with self, and kind of looping it back around to this system that we're ultimately talking about is the mind. Our mind is a system, it's a program, it's a script, and it's up to us to decide what channel, what series, what episode, what do we want to tap in and tune into, and what do we want to create. And as much as there's so many things that are outside of our control, like the medicine, like the school, like the education, there's a lot that is in our control. And I think too, as we grow, because we're not going to put age on it, because it doesn't matter what age you're at, there's going to be a process that comes with everything. I think it's so important that at different stages of our life, we do decide that we're going to take control of the story that's going on, and not allow these hurtful, these traumatic, these experiences take over, warp us into that, and then leave it at that. Put the cap on it, call it a day, and never look at it again. I think that there's no fun in that. There's no fun in that. Well, I know right now we're in this fall Halloween season. Not everyone's into the horror, and I get it. But me, I love Halloween. I love scary movies. But even outside of that, it's like, even though when you're watching a scary movie, there's this like, oh my God, okay, the music's starting. There's like this dun, dun, the guy's walking. Oh my gosh, someone's gonna pop. Even after you jump, it's like, oh my gosh, okay. And then you take a breath and you're okay. It's the same thing with looking at these stories. It's like, oh my God, okay, I feel the waterworks. My chest is about to like explode. I'm about to faint. This is a lot. And then you just like unveil it and you look under and you're like, oh, okay, maybe it's not that bad. Like maybe I can just chip away at it a little bit and a little bit at a time.
I love how you just described that and related it to like those horror movies or whatever, because it's so true. When we bump up against like the hard things or the scary things, it's I think there's another thing like in the coaching world we talk about a lot is like feel the fear and do it anyway.
Oh yes.
You know, it's like when we try to avoid the hard things are just going to stay there. But if we allow, and we're so good, I think just in general, human beings are good at trying to push away the hard stuff or the sad stuff, or we don't really want to confront those emotional things because they don't feel good.
Right.
When you're in the moment of them, they don't feel good. So it does feel better if we can just push them away and not deal with them. But I think, again, the way you described how you feel, when you have that, like, I know this scary thing is coming while I'm watching that scary movie and I jump and then I'm okay. It's like, you know, how do we allow those scary things to come in and actually feel them and experience them and know that it's just a little segment of time and it's going to pass and it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be fine. Like we're going to grow from that and come out on the other side rather than just having all these things build up that we're just not going to deal with, but they're going to become this huge roadblock, you know?
Yes.
Yeah. So do you have, I don't know, any suggestions based on like your experience or, your work with the girls or your work on yourself? It's like, how do we allow those scary things? Do you have any like tips or tricks or things that you do to help like allow yourself to get into those scary places and like know you're gonna make it through to the other side?
Yes. Oh, that's a beautiful question. Thank you so much for asking me that, because now it's giving my brain a chance to kind of, what do we do? And for me, I love to set an intention. So if I see that, okay, Alissa, you're spiraling, you're starting to do that thing again where you're like living in this loop of horror, and why? And you're trying to avoid it because you're under the impression it's making me feel better, I'm ignoring it. But then every turn, every corner, you're jumping, you're scared, because you're trying to avoid, and you're like tiptoeing around your own self. Setting the intention. Okay, I am becoming aware that I'm not okay. I need to get out of this. Let me find a space. For me, it's nature. Let me find a space where there's some type of peace. I don't have to jump. I don't have to be scared. I know I'm safe. Maybe that's your bed, a shower, taking a walk. For me, it's literally nature. It's my journal, and it's the mirror. And the mirror, that I will say is an advanced place. So if you are a daredevil, if you do have a rebel spirit, if you're looking for a challenge, the mirror is going to be your best friend. But those for me are my three: nature, journal, and mirror. Within those spaces, once I've set the intention, okay, I'm in a safe space, I'm ready to address. That's the key. I'm ready to address. Affirming with yourself that you are ready. I'm ready. Even if you're not, say it, I'm ready. Because as soon as you say I'm ready, oh, the floodgates are going to open. And then you can allow self to just feel. So once you say, okay, I'm ready to feel, that might be a start. Is wherever, once you get into your safe space, allow yourself to say that affirmation and that mantra. I'm ready to feel. Once you start feeling, just experience. You don't have to change it. You don't have to judge it. You might, and that's okay. But just know you don't have to. You're just feeling it. The other day I had a moment. I'm looking in the mirror. Oh my gosh, perfect example. So I'm getting ready to do a workshop for some girls, and I'm looking in the mirror. My face was kind of breaking out because I was stressing. My hair, it was dry because it needed some moisture and it needed to be washed. And my eyes were super puffy because I was having all this mucus stuff. And it was a lot. As I'm looking in the mirror, I'm like attacking myself verbally. So I'm like telling myself, like, oh my God, girl, like your acne, there's this, and I'm pointing it all out. And I'm recording myself too, because sometimes for me, I like to go back and I'll get to that on why that's important to document. So we can go back and then we can see, oh my gosh, totally got over that. We can get over this. I'm documenting it and I'm talking, and something hit me of like, wait a minute. You are being so superficial right now. You are making this workshop become, what am I going to wear? What's my hair going to look like? Oh my God, is my face going to look okay for camera? This workshop isn't about you and how you look. This workshop is about the impact on the girls. So moments like that, when I'm talking to myself and I say, okay, I'm ready to feel. I'm feeling insecure. I'm feeling like, am I capable? I'm feeling like, oh my gosh, I kind of look ugly. And then it's like reality hits of like, first of all, this isn't even about you. So then now that I allowed myself to feel, I'm also allowing truth to come. Because sometimes with the feelings, it'll also bring up, oh my gosh, wait, why am I feeling like I'm so annoyed with myself about my hair right now? Like, and if you're conscious enough, your mind will start to tell you like the truth of like, girl, please. This workshop is about empowering and inspiring the girls. It's not about how you look. So like, let's get over that and let's talk about the real. Oh, the real is you want to feel capable and you're using your beauty. And this is, like I said, a moment I had in the bathroom of just a real conversation of you're now using your beauty as a reason to validate your capabilities. Mm. Instead of just being real with yourself of, I'm a little nervous. I really want to do a great job. I really want the approval of these girls. I really want to be liked. No, you want to go superficial and avoid what's really happening because, oh, it's a little scary over there. Like, let me just go somewhere where I feel a little comfortable. Like, oh, Alyssa, it's just your hair. It's just your acne. It's just, no, it's not. No, it's not. It's this. So that I would say is my process on how I just allow myself to feel it and allow myself to go through it. Set the intention, get in a safe space, and just feel. And once you feel, try and document it. So maybe that is journaling. Maybe that's just talking aloud. Maybe it's recording yourself. But try and document. Maybe it's painting, drawing a picture. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but just documenting it so that you can have a reflection outside of yourself to see and hear. So what really is going on? Is it really the kids and the husband and the work pissing you off? Or is it that you said you were going to go to the gym and you still haven't gone to the gym, so you still feel like poop? Like, what really is it? But those conversations sometimes are very challenging to have, but they're fun. I will say they're so fun because then you get an inside look at, oh my gosh, look at this little Miss Drama Queen over here creating this narrative.
Yep.
And sometimes I like to say those thoughts that come up and try and tell you who you're not, they're just rumors. So it's like, look at it as a little game of like, so what are these rumors? Let's see the rumors today. Pull it up. Let's pull out the newspaper. What are the rumors about Alyssa today? And you try and play a game with yourself with it. Make it fun as possible because it's yucky in there sometimes. It's challenging. It's not easy. But what else are we doing? Sitting in misery? Going in a horror loop? I mean, that's not fun either. So sometimes we just gotta take the chance, take the risk, and allow ourselves to feel.
Yeah. Oh man, there is so much goodness that you just shared. Like it's hard to even just like peel apart like just one thing, but I love the whole idea. I mean the mirror, like you said, like so advanced, like that's a thing that can be super hard. So you know, I've had clients that we've done mirror work with, and they're like, I don't think I can look in the mirror and say anything nice about myself, you know? And it's like, that's okay. That's okay. It's a work in progress.
Yes.
It's a work in progress. Or I would tell them like, so if you don't want like a mirror, can you look in the reflection on like your turned off phone or the TV where it's not like as in living color, you know, it's not like the full of you. But the piece that you talked about is the documentation. That just really sparked something for me because it's so interesting to think about documenting. For one, like you can go back and look at where you were, like how far you've come. I think there's like a really great celebration you can do in that. And also just really validating the different parts of ourselves that are trying to have a voice. Just another way of allowing all those voices to be heard when you document.
Yes.
I just think that is just such a beautiful practice that I think so beneficial. Like I think so many people could just really benefit from documenting that conversation.
Yes. Oh, I
Yeah.
think so too. Yeah. And you're so right about it gives the other spaces time to chat with you. Because
Mhm.
sometimes when well, for me, sometimes when I'm feeling a little lonely or feeling like, oh, I kind of want connection, but I don't really want to talk to anybody. But like I want something, like some type of outside.
Yeah.
Those sometimes are the best times to go and tap in with those parts of yourself. Because it's
Yes.
probably not you in the everyday that's lonely. It might be one of those parts that's like been trying to get your attention, trying to tell you like, hey, I heard this rumor, or hey, I got a secret for you, or like, hey, I got some news. And like you've been like ignoring it. So now it's like feeling so neglected, so abandoned, so just like, what the heck? I'm lonely, I'm sad, I'm depressed. And at this
Mhm.
point, it's just like sitting and sulking. And then now you're probably feeling the sitting and the sulking of it, where it's like, go and talk to it, go and chat, like just see what's up. And I think like for me, I try and come from a very playful and optimistic mindset when I go to talk to myself. So it doesn't become this like, rawr, like, oh my gosh, I'm your principal, I'm your dictator, I'm your ruler. You must just shut up and stop saying these bad things. It's more of like, I'm your big sister, I'm your big cousin. I'm like just here to just be here for you. So you tell me what's
Mhm.
going on. And then based on what I do know about you, based on what I have been learning, then I'll just give you some game. But I'm not here to judge you. I'm not here to be mean to you. I'm not here to
Mhm.
criticize you. Like, obviously, you've already had enough of that because you're here like pouty
Right?
and you're here like telling me that you're not enough and you're unworthy and you're all these things. So obviously you've already had enough judgment at this point where it's like, do we need
Mhm.
any more judgment? No, we don't. The judgment cup is like overflowing at this point. So now it's time to just approach the conversation differently. And I think that's the biggest thing when it comes to this system is approaching it differently and not
Yeah.
the typical like, what's wrong with you? I need personal development. I need a personal coach. I need to get my life together. It's like, no, you use those things as I'm going to do this for me. You know what? I am going to take care of myself. You know what? I am going to get some accountability. It's like coming from that perspective is more enlightening and empowering versus like, my life's a mess. I need a life coach. It's like, wow, my life is so beautiful and has so many ins and outs. I cannot wait to get a life coach so that she can help me stay accountable and hit my goals
Mhm.
and unravel the chaos behind the scenes. That's a different approach. That's a different mindset.
Yeah.
That's a different willingness to approach it. So I think, yeah, the
Yeah.
perspective is going to place a key in allowing yourself and documenting.
Mhm. Yeah. Wow, that's so beautiful. And it feels like you've gotten a little bit of mastery of this technique in a way because it feels like you are able to approach the conversation and the documentation from a place of, maybe you don't always feel like I'm this worthy, like I'm infinitely worthy, but
Yes.
it sounds like you can steer the discussion towards more it being about worthiness rather than about, criticism,
Yes.
you
Oh,
know?
100%.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is which is just amazing. So I'd be curious, like, if you could give the audience like one takeaway or one technique that you think they should try, like say they're at the way beginning of their journey. Because
Yes.
you and I being in the coaching world, like we've been on this journey for a little bit, right? So if somebody's super new to their journey, trying to connect in with their worthiness, trying to maybe listen to that inner critic a little bit, but not to the extent where it gets them off the rails and into more roadblocks, but maybe so that there can be like, that healthy conversation with the inner critic to lead to more self-worth. What is that one technique you think a beginner could really benefit from?
Yes. A beginner step just to get started, to unravel, unveil, grab a piece of paper, grab a pen or a pencil and write, I love myself because, and flow. It's
Ooh.
just because this is the thing. Starting from a place of gratitude will still get you to that other side of, okay, we'll talk about the fears. We'll talk about the doubt. But if you start from the fears and the doubts, you're already in the deep end. You didn't allow yourself to like tiptoe to see if the water was cold, how cold it was, if you need your floaties, if you need your goggles, is there sharks in there? I don't know. Are the kids peeing in the pool? I mean, you didn't give yourself time to like see the whole scene of things. You just like jumped right in. Now you're drowning. And then like, you don't want to go back. You're like, I'm not going to the pool ever again. So you have to allow yourself to tiptoe into the deep end, even if you could swim, even if you're a rebel, even if you're a daredevil. Even I had to tiptoe in because I was going to drown. So starting from that place, it's already going to bring up curiosity. Because let's say you write it. I love myself because, and then all of a sudden there's like a brain fog of like, that already is gonna spark curiosity for you of like, wait a minute, like why I'm so confused right now. Why am I having a hard time seeing what I love about myself? I'm with me every day. There's not one thing. What about like those earrings? I love myself because I wear those cute earrings. I love myself because I always buy the Crest toothpaste and it's my favorite flavor. I mean, it can be the smallest of things, but that right there sometimes can be a mind like, ooh, well, what is it? And then from that place, it might also bring up things of nothing. Oh, everything about me is terrible. Oh, and then that also will allow you to see, wait a minute, is these true? So, and I recommend too, if you do this practice and you kind of are at that brain fog, whatever does come, just write it. So at least you can visually see it and at least it's out of your mind. The key when you're starting and when you're continuing is get out of your mind as much as possible so that you can feel and like get the poop out. It's like, imagine you're constipated, but you're still trying to eat. It's like, you can't do that. Like, you got to get it out. So it's the same with the mind. Before you start putting in all this affirmations and these gratitudes and these practices and the you need to dump. You need to brain dump. You need to get some of that clogged stuff out so you can free up space so that that new stuff that you put in actually has space to live. And it's not like this cluttered, you can't find the good because it's mixing with the bad and it's a mess. So the journaling, and it doesn't have to be crazy. Like I said, piece of paper, whiteboard, sticky note, just something. I love myself because.
Yes.
Brain dump it out. Whether it's good, bad, doesn't matter. Just get it out. And then from that part, yourself will be able to lead you to the next step.
That's beautiful. I love that. Yeah, just getting it all out, like brain dumping. And I love that starter phrase. I love myself because I can imagine that can be challenging and you may sit on that for a bit. Like
yes. Yes.
But it's such an important practice, such a beautiful way to get yourself going. Again, like you said, get that stuff out, get it out of your mind and out onto paper so that you have that space.
Absolutely.
To really work with that. I love that. So anybody in the audience, if you try this, please let us know in the comments because I would really love to know how it goes for you. Any ahas, any challenges, anything that you experience while you're doing this journaling practice. Like, yeah, give it a try. Let us know how it goes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
That is amazing. So I would love, we're running to the end of our time. So is there any last like nugget of wisdom you'd like to share with the audience?
The biggest thing that I want the audience to know, and even myself, no one's coming to save you. Not because you're not worthy of being saved, but because you don't need saving. You don't need saving. What you're looking for, what you desire, it is within you. And I know it sounds so cliche and it's so annoying sometimes to even hear that because it's like, what are you talking about? The mansion is not inside me. The $1 million is not inside me. The bills are not inside me. You're right. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about the desire, the hope, the belief, the self-love, the encouragement, the empowerment, the power, the abundance, like the mindset. We're talking about those things. Those are all within you. And it's up to you to ignite it, to unlock it, to unleash it. So no one's going to come and save you because only you can set yourself free. People will help you along the way. Like Allison, when she was my life coach, she didn't save me. She saw, hey, you're out here swimming. Do you not see that there's sharks around you? Like, let me come and yell out and tell you, hey, there's sharks. Like, come over here, swim with us. Like, I'll teach you, if you're going to swim with the sharks, how to not get bitten. But she can't come throw herself out to the sharks, try and get me away from the shark. Now we're both getting eaten by sharks. So you're going to have people and things come along to help you, to guide you, to push you, to encourage you. And that's where community comes in. But ultimately, it's going to be you taking charge to say, I am ready. I am willing to allow. And just igniting it. Igniting whatever that is within you that pushes you to go, that pushes you to love yourself, that pushes you to want more for you. And that, I mean, saved my life because it got me out of the delusion that somebody was going to come ride on this horse and slay a dragon and come and get me from this castle. And then I was going to be in this fairy tale dream of getting taken care of. That was my false illusion. And I'm still waiting on him to come. Because he's not coming. I'm going to be the one to slay the dragon, to get me down from that castle, to get away from the evil stepmom. It's going to be me. So that would be my last nugget for the audience to truly take away is no one's coming to save you because you have the keys to set yourself free.
Yeah. Oh, that's so empowering. And I know that you bring all that love to all the girls that you work with to help them be their own like knight in shining armor in a sense. I mean, you know, yes. they are the ones. 100%. They have the power. Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh, it's been amazing, Alissa. Thank you for being a part of this episode. Can you also just tell the audience where to find you?
Yes. Oh my gosh, Allison, this has been amazing. It's kind of unfortunate we have to go because I'm like, I want to keep talking to you.
I know. Maybe we'll do part 2.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I would love that. Well, for the audience, you can connect with me on Instagram at Who's Lissa. So WHOSLISSA. And then in that account, you'll see a link to Hug Yourself and Love Yourself. So you can just click on that @ name and it'll take you over to our business page and you can check us out there and see all the wonderful things that the girls are doing. And just stay connected and get into this mindset, girl. Get into this mindset.
I love it. Again, thank you again so much, Alissa. And if you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and share this with anyone who think might benefit. And we'll see you next time. Thanks again, Alissa.
Yes. Oh, thank you, Allison. Talk soon.
Bye.
Bye.